Alright, YouTube, it is Mr. Mean coming at you this Sunday night right at about 9 o'clock, October 6th, 2019. We're zipping along into winter here. It was actually a gorgeous day here in Duluth. Yesterday it was very rainy and cold and dreary, and all of a sudden today the sun broke and it was gorgeous. I think it was in the high 40s. I think we might have hit the low 50s. I was in shorts and a t-shirt because, well, I'm crazy. Let's get some housekeeping out of the way first and foremost. I think we're up to over 560 subscribers, so a big shout out and a thank you to all the new subscribers to the channel. Thank you guys so much for signing up, telling your friends. Let's help support the Meanie Army, and let's move forward. As always, like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Help the channel grow. I'm on MeWe. I'm on Discord. There's links on my YouTube channel. You can go there and follow me there. That would be awesome. I'm always up for chatting or whatever. I have Discord installed on my phone, so I usually get notified if I get updates or whatever. So please head on over to Discord and let's talk about games. I'm on PayPal Pay Me. If you'd like to send a donation to the channel, you can use PayPal Pay Me. There's a link on my YouTube channel as well. And then also last but not least is ZellyPay. I've been using ZellyPay for about a year now. A couple of my supporters send donations there. If you're in the US, feel free to send a donation, and I appreciate it. Know that it does go back into the channel and helps support this awesome hobby that we all love and share. And I hope that you guys enjoy the content. If there's something you want to see reviewed, feel free to shoot me an email or hit me up on Discord or MeWe. My email is jpolak@gmail.com, aka Mr. Mean. Other than that, guys, gorgeous day today. Had a fun time with my son. Went to a local diner, had some food. He's down for bed. I'm actually really tired. I'm going to be going to bed here soon, but I wanted to pop out a video because it's been a week and I wanted to get something out. So today's video du jour is Green Ronin's Fantasy Age. Now, I've done a review on it in the past, but there's been a couple new books, a couple new things come out, and I wanted to maybe make you aware if you're not aware. If you are, feel free to skip the video. But hang around. You might see something you like. The Fantasy Age system gained popularity and traction with BioWare's Dragon Age. This is the, I almost kind of want to say collector's edition. I'm not quite sure if that's a proper term. I know this was limited availability. I don't even know if you can still buy it. I will put a link to the Green Ronin webpage as well as Drive-Thru RPG in the show notes at the bottom. But the Fantasy Age system gained traction because of this game. BioWare and the creative people behind it reached out to Chris Pramas and Green Ronin and said, hey, we want a role-playing game. And so I guess Chris had this on the back burner, was thinking about it for years or whatever. And this is what came about. And this is a fantastic game. If you're a fan of the video game Dragon Age, and you're looking to get into tabletops, or you and a couple of your friends are curious, this is a great way. If you've all played the video game and you're like, wow, I wish we could kind of do that, well, now you can. And this has been out for years. There's a couple box sets. You can see them up there. There's two of them right there. I don't have the third one. I have the first and the second one. I don't have the third one because I just wasn't able to get it, and it's hard to find now. But I have it as a PDF, but I want the physical box if I can find it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really fatigued. So if I keep rubbing my eyes, I apologize. So yeah, Dragon Age, Fantasy Age. Now you know where it came from. It all spun off from this, and a lot of people, myself included, on the Green Ronin forum saying, release a separate game. This is great, but not everybody likes Dragon Age. Let's give us these mechanics, without the Dragon Age background. And I think if Green Ronin would have put it out with a generic fantasy setting, we'd have still bought it. I know I would have. It is one of my favorite systems. This is slightly different from Fantasy Age because this is molded to fit the Dragon Age genre and theme, but it is still an excellent game. So like I said, if you're new to role-playing, maybe you've played all the Dragon Age games, or you've played several of them, and you wanna entry point, this is a great way to get into it. If you're a little bit more seasoned, or you're willing to take the plunge and go in head first, there's no better way than, of course, Fantasy Age. This is not a huge rule book, as you can see. I think it's only, let's get a page count here. It's 143 pages. So in today's standards, with 641 page Pathfinder, this is pretty slim and tame. But there's a ton of information here. And the reason this is so small, for those that don't know, is there's no setting here. This is just the bare bones framework of your fantasy races, your abilities, your magic, and that's really it. There's not a whole lot more in here. So it's just basically telling you how to run a fantasy game using the fantasy game engine, or the adventure game engine is what Age stands for, or Phage if you're doing fantasy, or you're doing Mage, which is modern. We'll get into that in a minute. But anyway, this is really a great book. I got a ding on mine. It's driving me nuts. This is really great. Like I said, a really low entry point. I think this is $29.95. It's available on DriveThruRPG. It's available off of Green Ronin's website. The nice thing is, if you buy the book from Green Ronin, I believe if you physically buy a copy, online at greenronin.com, they give you a voucher for a $5 PDF, that's awesome. So you can get the PDF, share it with your friends, get them interested in the game, and then hopefully they'll go out and buy their own copy. So Fantasy Age uses a stunt system, which go back in my review of the game system itself, and you can learn more about that. But it uses 3d6. You don't need a bunch of complicated dice. So again, beginner friendly in my opinion. Rules are not terribly complicated, and I think you'll have a lot of fun. So 3d6, one of those 3d6 has to be a different color. That's your stunt die. In Dragon Age, it's called the Dragon Die. Go figure. And yeah, so again, totally separate games, same system, or very similar system. There are some nuances. But yeah, so 3d6, one of them has to be a different color than the other two. The other two should be the same color, just to alleviate, and then everybody's rolling on the same page. And d6 dice are a dime a dozen, so you can nail them out of your Monopoly game. Then of course you have the Fantasy Age GM screen. My opinion, one of the best landscape GM screens out there on the market. And again, I think it's a 20 spot. I believe it came with some files, with some printout. I don't remember, it's been so long. I've had this since it first came out, and it is fantastic. The art is amazing on it. It's really well done, and I think it's like 20 or 25 bucks. It's not terribly expensive, and I can't figure out how to make. I want the Fantasy Age thing to be on the front, but I guess it can't. So there you go. The Fantasy Age GM screen, well worth the money to pick that up. And then a while later, they came out with the Bestiary. What's neat about this is it's not your standard monsters. It is in a way, but there's a lot of like Egyptian theme. They kind of pulled from all over the place. There's African monsters. There's of course classic mythology, classic fantasy. And then, they pulled from a lot of other places. So, there's your classical Minotaur, and then there's really some very bizarre creatures, like the Groot slang. No idea what that is, where that's from. Might be from African mythology. I don't know, because it kind of looks like an elephant. There's all kinds of neat things here. Gargoyles, Fomori, Fire Ogre. I mean, I was looking for there's an Egyptian one that I know is an Egyptian creature from Egyptian mythology. Oh, there we go. Bakawani. That's African, like, fairy sprite, but it's demonic and not very nice, if I remember correctly. It's been so long. But anyway, great resource. Again, $32.95 on Green Ronin's website. I think it's still available. Can also buy the PDF on DriveThruRPG. So indispensable if you're running a fantasy, fantasy age game. This is a must-have for the GM, I think. And then something I picked up not too long ago, and part of why I'm doing this review or this montage is I didn't have this. The Fantasy Age Companion. I found it on Amazon for a decent price, and I saw that I think it was out of print on Green Ronin's website or whatever. I didn't have it, so I saw it a couple of weeks ago and I bought it. $32.95 again. So that seems to be their price point for their stuff. And man, this is neat. You know, I think the price point's pretty good for the page count. 126 pages with 2 pages of ads. Of course, promoting Green Ronin's games. This is designed by Jack Norris, Chris Prama, Steve Kenson, John Lighthausen, and Malcolm Shepard. And you get a plethora of information in here. New character races for Fantasy Age, from the primal beast folk to the mechanical Ronin. Basically clockwork. There's also Dragonkin in here, which they call Drax or Drakes. I don't remember. Which are super cool. And basically, you know, the bottom line is, if you're a huge Eberron fan, but you don't like the D&D mechanics, and you don't like 3.5, you don't like 4th edition, you don't like 5th edition, Drac, D-R-A-A-K. And they look exactly what you think they would look like. Dragon men. But if you don't like those mechanics, or you don't like Pathfinder, you can totally use Fantasy Age, and you could run Eberron with this book. And the bestiary would be optional, but it would definitely help. But this book and the core rule book, you could run Eberron, because the Orion are basically Warforged. The Dragon are Dragonborn. And then, of course, you got all your other standard fantasy races in the core book. So this is awesome. A whole bunch of talents and specializations. Whole bunch of magical arcana, which is basically your spells. Fantasy Age does magic a little bit differently. When you choose, there's only 3 character classes. There's fighter, mage, and rogue, or warrior, mage, and rogue. So, and as you go on later, you can cross specialize, which is kind of cool. So you could be a rogue mage, you know, you could be like play a drow and have a lot of magical abilities and be a good fighter, or a rogue, or whatever, or vice versa. You can mix up any 3 of the combinations that you so desire. So that's really neat. A whole bunch of new spells in here. Really went gonzo on the spells and the arcanas, as they call them. Mighty artifacts. I haven't read through all of this yet, but so far everything I have read has been amazing. I'm very happy I picked this up. Rules for relationships, followers, and antagonists, which let you design boon companions and dire enemies. Numerous ways to customize Fantasy Age rules, organize stunts into packages, adjust the game's lethality, and more. So there's a whole bunch of optional stuff in here for the game that will allow you to customize your Fantasy Age game the way you want to play. So there's also the Fantasy Age campaign guide. I think it's called Campaign Guide or Campaign Companion. I'm not sure. I don't think they reuse Companion. I don't have that yet. I'm planning on picking that up here real soon. Just because that'll complete, I'll have everything for it. There's a bunch of PDFs on drive-through for Fantasy Age. So, you know, if you're a budding GM and you're like, Mr. Mean, I don't have any ideas for a campaign or for ideas. First of all, the Bestiary is going to give you a whole bunch. Second of all, that campaign guide is going to give you a whole bunch as well. And then we jump over to, well, this one just came out. I still haven't read all the way through it. It's a big shout out to my good buddy Brian Eiskoff. He turned me on to this one. I watched the TV show on the Sci-Fi Channel. I watched the first 2 seasons. I think there's a 3rd season, The Expanse. Really well done. They give a lot of credit to the authors of the graphic novels or fiction. I'm not quite sure what it was. I don't follow comic books and graphic novels anymore. $50. I mean, but it's a pretty hefty tome, and it's a complete game all in itself. There is a map in the back, if you were wondering. And man, I haven't read the books. I have a good friend who's read the books, and he says it's pretty faithful to the books. But it's also, from what I've seen, it's faithful to the TV show. So I really like that because they were able to cover both worlds. So if you're a huge fan of the TV show or the books or vice versa, it's got you covered. So, and of course it uses the age system, the adventure game engine. So that's what's nice about it. And of course it's got the age logo down here on the bottom. So anytime you see this logo, you know it's a fantasy, it's an age, which is the adventure game engine. So, and of course the icon has, you know, 2 white dice and 1 black dice, because, you know, you got to have your wild die. So that covers your sci-fi, hard sci-fi too, you know. And then this one's been out for a while, but it's been recently generating a lot of buzz, and I'm excited about that because I think this is the world I want to play in. Because I love Shadowrun. I love the Shadowrun world. I hate the game mechanics. I am just not a fan of any iteration of Shadowrun, except for maybe Savage Worlds Shadowrun, which I thought was pretty good. But that's a fan-made collaboration, and it's not available for purchase. But if you go to, I think it's Great White Games, or it's Great White. Just do a Google search for Shadowrun, Savage Shadowrun, and you'll find it. But that being said, I do like my cyberpunk and my fantasy, and I like to mix them together a la Shadowrun, but I don't like Shadowrun's rules. So anything that lets me go outside of that, I am down for. Enter Modern Age, or Mage, the rules handbook, the basic rule book. This is, again, it uses the age system. This is $34.95. And again, this is a standalone book. This is all you need, including the character sheets in the back. And it rounds out at 191 pages. They did have their first supplement for this was the Lazarus. I think it's Lazarus Protocol. If I could get to the last page of the book. World of Lazarus. Family Above All. So I did a review on that. Go back in the archives, check it out. But really cool. This allows you to run basically cyberpunk or modern day. It gives you a bunch of different options in here, and it's really good. It's really, really good. It's a good read. It touches on arcana, or psychic powers, as they like to call it, because, you know, arcana, that's kind of covered in fantasy age. So in modern age, they kind of give you the psychic powers. So, and a lot of technology and stuff like that. So, and then, hot on the heels this year, and I think this just came out, this also goes for $39.95. So you're seeing a price creep in their books, but that's just the way it is. But then again, the page counts are also getting a little higher. We're at 182 pages for 183 pages for threefold. And I went down to Minneapolis last weekend, and I went to a game store called The Source, which is a bar none, probably one of the best game stores I've ever been in. And this is pretty awesome. Basically, you're space and time traveling agents. I haven't read it all. Adventure across 1,000 realities. So basically, like The Strange from Monty Cook. It's kind of like that. It's you can do your cyberpunk, you could do your fantasy. I mean, it even relates to everything, and you can see the cover is got, you know, a little bit of everything. So this is super cool. I'm still reading it. I've been fighting a vicious cold for the last 2 weeks. I have a horrendous cough. So I haven't been able to lay down in bed and read as much as I like, because once I take my little cough syrup, it's sleepy time, and we like sleepy time. But this is really well done so far from what I've read. I'm really enjoying it. I believe there's a modern age GM screen, and that's also on my list to pick up. I don't have a super good game store out here in Duluth, so I rely on Amazon. So I troll Amazon, and when I see a decent price or a bundle for stuff, I'll usually pick it up. So I'm looking to pick up that last fantasy age book I don't have, and then the modern age GM screen. I'm kind of holding off though, because they may do a threefold GM screen. I don't know if there's any truth to that. That's just my speculation, so don't quote me on that. Be nice if they did, because I think there's some information in here that's not, it doesn't jive shall we say, very well, or mesh very well with the standard modern age, because this throws everything out the window and you can do a little bit of everything, which is cool. And like I said, you want to run cyberpunk, Shadowrun type things, this is the book to get. There's a little bit of everything in here, you know, and like I said, they're traveling across the realms and everything. You're basically time cops or reality cops, and you go through. So it's really cool. So I'm definitely want to run my players through this. So that's kind of, I wanted to just go over all the fantasy age or all the age books that I have. I also actually have Titan's Grave, which unfortunately we never got season 2 of Titan's Grave from Will Wheaton. Is it Titan's Grave or is it just, I think it's Titan's Grave. I have the book. I don't know where it's at. It's in a box, I think, because it wasn't anything I was playing. But that's all of the Green Ronin age system books that I own. If you guys played them, do you like them? What do you dislike about it? There's an awesome MeWe community that I just found. And then on top of that, Green Ronin now has a Discord channel where they're actively supporting their games, and they're trying to get a community going on Discord to play games. So if you're not quite sure it's something you want to invest money in, maybe you can go on there and through the various Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds or whatever other, there's several different options for virtual tabletops. You can sit in on a game virtually, or maybe even just do it via Discord in your camera and roll some dice, which is how I like to do it. And I'm thinking real soon about doing a one-shot of Fantasy Age or even Modern Age, maybe kicking off that game. Go check out that Green Ronin Discord channel. It's super cool. They're very active on there. It's a new channel. They're going gangbusters. They're really trying to support the community and get some hype going around Fantasy Age and Modern Age and The Expanse and all their games. So definitely tell them Mr. Mean sent you if you do join up. It's on Discord. Maybe I'll try and get a link and put it in the show notes as well, so that points you guys to that Discord channel. But that's it, guys. That's what I wanted to go over. Like I said, it's we've been babbling now for 22 minutes, going on 23 minutes. So, and like I said, I'm really tired, and I just wanted to get a video out to talk about that because I'm pretty hyped about it. I'm still running my Pathfinder game. We've taken a break from Midgard D&D 5e. Because I'm really jonesing on the Pathfinder rules 2nd edition. I'm really, really liking it. The 3-action economy and the player agency and how the players have a lot more options than they do in D&D. And I'm not saying D&D is bad. D&D is a great game. It's just not always the game for me and what I like to run. And I'm hoping that they'll do the Midgard books and Pathfinder 2nd edition. So if anybody hears anything about that, drop me a note and let me know, or send me a link if you've got one. So guys and gals, I just want to get a video out and say thank you for all the support again. As always, you know, it seems like I'm always going through a tough time, and emotionally right now I'm going through probably one of the toughest times of my life. And it's nothing that I want to get into on here, but thanks to you guys and your support and everything, it keeps me going. So, you know, put those messages in the comments and everything. I do read every one of them. I try to like them. And if I love them, I give you the little heart, especially if I really agree with what you're saying. But just remember, guys, there's people out there that love you and care about you, and let's make this world a better place. There's no room in this world for hate of any kind. So peace, love, and hair grease. Mr. Mean says, remember to be nice.